All right.
Hi, welcome to Live Right Tonight. I am Brandi, and I have the privilege to have Tara Kamaski joining me with the podcast today. How you doing, Tara?
I'm great, Brandy. How are you?
Good. Well, I know about you, but my viewers don't. So if you would tell me a little about yourself. Tell everybody about
Um,
yourself.
my name is Tara. I do tooling for a living, and I started a group for Michigan snowmobiling women called Michigan Sled Chicks. And
Nice.
I'm married, no kids, living and loving life.
That's awesome. Oh, don't forget, you got the two dogs that are your kids.
And I got my two fur babies. There you go.
Yeah, there we go. So, Tara, um, you know, I obviously you are one of my best friends, and I know that you've gone through a lot of, traumatic times, and especially living with the disease in our, in your family and it going through the family. Can you abbreviate of what you've gone through a little bit?
Um, I lost my sister to a heroin addiction in 2004. Um, and then last year I lost her oldest son, my oldest nephew, to a heroin addiction also. So it's something my family's battled for many years. Um, my sister started her drug use when I was in my teens. I was about 15, 16 years old when she started, not on the heroin, but started abusing other drugs. And then one thing led into another, and the addiction overtook her life. Her kids were taken away from her. And from there, it was even more of a downward spiral for my sister. She was only 39 years old, and my nephew was only 37.
Okay. Um, Now, do you think that it was just with them, or do you feel like it was through the family? Was there more to it?
There's more to it. I mean, my sister, we moved back from Arizona. My sister had gone through a divorce. She was trying to raise her boys on her own because she was not getting any help from her ex-husband, and she got into the wrong scene. Um, and then that just led her down a dark path. After when she passed, my other nephew had passed away 2 years prior to her in a car accident. And then when my sister passed, my dad also had alcohol addiction for about 5 years too. And it was very hard on all of our family because addiction's addiction, no matter what it is. And so my father had an addictive personality also, and my sister did also, and my nephew did also. It's something that it's hard to explain if it's family from the family or if it's I don't know. It's hard to explain that, to be honest with
No.
you.
Um, what made you to not fall into their lines?
I think that being exposed to it at such a young age with my sister at the primitive years of my life. I mean, I was 16 when she was starting to get really bad. And so I seen things that a 16-year-old probably shouldn't have seen and been around, which my parents had to stop me from seeing my sister at one point. It had gotten that bad that it kind of showed me what I didn't want to do with my own life because of watching somebody I love so much battle it like she did
Right.
for so long. And my sister was a beautiful human being. She was college educated. She had so much going for her in life, and it could just hurt. And when you go down that hole, either you come back or you don't. And it's your decision, nobody else's. We've tried everything that we could to help her, but you have to want to get that help yourself for sure.
Right. No, absolutely. Now, you know, one thing that I wanted to ask is when they were alive, what was all the what was constantly going through your head every day when they were alive in their addiction? What was the fear? What was the feelings? What, like, how did you feel?
I was waiting every day to get that call, to be honest with you, and fearful for the phone to ring to get that call, and knowing in your gut that you could get that call any day. The feeling of waiting for that call is the worst feeling any family member could ever have, or any
Right.
loved one of that person is. And then when that call comes, your whole world gets flipped upside down because you never want to get that call. And
Now,
your whole world changes because you can never get that person back.
right. And when you got that call, what was that feeling?
With my sister, I dropped to my knees. I it's hard to even talk about because I loved her so much. And you were one of the first people I called when I got that call. And it's just your heart is just ripped out because I could never have my sister back. I can never touch her, hug her, anything ever again.
Right.
And it's the worst feeling you could ever have. That's the only way I can describe that. Now it's made me cold. It has made me cold in life with things. You know, I think I took my nephew a lot easier than I took my sister. It was never easy to take it at all. But I
Right.
feel like it hardened me so much going through what I went through losing her in my early 20s that it just it makes you cold in a way, you know,
Absolutely.
because there's a piece of me that I'll never get back because I'll never have her back again and I'll never have him back again.
Now,
And just to see them peaceful, you know.
right. Now with you know, and like you said, I was there for your sister. I was there for all of them, but you know, I did notice, you know, your sister was really hard on you. You know, I do know that.
Yeah.
Now with your nephew, um, now with him and his addiction,
Which you've seen a lot of it because my nephew recorded a lot of his stuff and put it on Facebook, and these videos were just heart wrenching to watch him and his addiction, you know.
yeah. Now do you know how many times that he was going in and out of rehab? How many times he tried?
I think Josh was like 3 or 4 times that he tried, but he would never stay in. You know, he would go for a day or two and then he'd be out.
Yeah,
And then he'd go and then he'd be out. So it was just never keeping that consistency of staying and getting through it, you know.
right. Yeah,
My sister never went. Never went. She was in denial the entire addiction that she had. It was always, no, I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing anything. As she's falling apart in front of us, you know, and she just would never come to terms with that ever.
right. You know, and one thing with, you know, your nephew is that I just remember looking at videos of him, and I remember reaching out to you because I know that you guys, it came to a point where you guys had to just block him off of Facebook because you guys were so, it was hurting you guys all the time. That I do know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when was the last time you spoke with him before you got that call that they found him?
Josh was about 4 or 5 months before he died. He had been living on the streets for a couple of years in Arizona at this point because he was homeless, and you know, there was never a consistent number to get a hold of him or when he would have a phone, you know, because he would have to scam to make any kind of money.
Right.
And that you get a phone card and get a phone turned on for a little bit. And so he never had any consistent way to contact him, So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, because I remember the last time I seen a video, that's when I ended up calling you and telling you about it, that it was getting pretty dark on his end. And I believe it was not even 2 weeks after, that's when you got the phone call that somebody found him.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that was a hard moment for you. Um, you know, what
It's a hard subject for me.
I know it is. And of course, the moment you go, I go.
I know.
So it's okay.
Yeah.
You're not gonna be waterworks by yourself, dear. You know,
Yeah.
now with all that said and done, when you say that it made you cold, but there's more to it. What more? Like, I know it made you put up a wall, but why?
Yeah.
Like, did it just make you put up a wall in general of any person that has an addiction, or is it just because you're just so scared to have that again, to go through that
It's
feeling?
I have an addiction hardness. Yes, I do. I hate to see anybody battle that disease, and I hate to see anybody lose that battle, because I know that everybody out there has a choice. They have a choice to get clean. You have a choice to help yourself, and you have a choice to save your life. You have that choice. No matter what you think, no matter how low you are, you have a choice to live, because there are people out there that love you and people that want to see you live. And when you just think about your addiction, that's all you think about. And I understand that, but you don't understand what it does to the people that love you so much. And my nephew left behind a beautiful little girl who has no dad. She has no dad. She's such a smart, intelligent, beautiful little girl, and she has no father. She's 12 years old. There's no reason for that, because he could have lived.
Right.
So I have a hard time with that, I really do, because you can save your life. You can do it. No matter how weak you think you are, you can do it.
Right. And then knowing, for him, it was, not, I know that, he followed his mom's footsteps, but I believe he also followed his dad's as well.
Yeah, his dad battled addictions also. And his dad also overdosed and passed away that way also.
Yeah. So both of your nephews, they were both pretty much parentless since 2000, what was it, 2004?
Well, their dad was still alive, but he wasn't really active in their life. Their grandparents on their dad's side had custody of them at that point, because it was either my parents were going to get custody, or his parents were getting custody. So his parents ended up taking custody of the boys, but he still wasn't really active with them at all, because he was battling his own addictions.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah. Um, you know, one thing that I want to ask, what out of all that, what was the impact? Like, what is that what constantly made you want to just stay clean and stay focused and just not even go around that route? Or, because you know that you have the addiction, personality, like what keeps you focused every day to not go down that path? Because for someone that has addictive personality, you don't know what you're going to get yourself into and not know that if you're going to like it or not.
Mm-hmm. That's why I've
So
never let myself do it. I've stayed
now,
away from that. I've stayed away from all that stuff, because I don't ever want to try it and like it. I've never given myself the opportunity to do so. You know what I'm saying?
right.
Because
Now
of
I
that
know that
reason.
you have a lot of friends that, they use different amounts of drugs. Now, when you're out with them and stuff like that, and then you find out that they're using, how do you not go along the lines with, to party with them? Like, what focuses you when you're with them, you're stuck with them, and everybody's doing it? That thing, well, everybody's doing it.
I just have a very strong mindset about it. Like, you don't know unless you battle addiction yourself or lose somebody that close to you, what it'll do to your life. And they, as an adult, everybody can make their own decision on what they want to do, but it's just not my thing. And I'd rather not be around it if I don't have to be. You know what I mean?
Right.
I will try to stay away from situations like that because it's just not my thing. And I'm at the point in my life now where I've gotten this far and I haven't, and I'm not going to now. That's for sure. And I've
Right.
been through a lot of things in my life where it could have opened doors to me to do things because of battling depression, of things that my family's gone through. But I've always kept that mindset of never letting myself go down that road. You have to have a strong mind with yourself. It's not easy all the time, but you have to try and do it.
Right. Now, one thing I want to ask you, there's people out there that are still battling with this disease and feeling like their families don't care because they shut them off. And, for you, like you had to shut your family off. And for those that are still out there that's struggling with this disease and feeling that they're just alone, they have no family, their families just abandoned them and everything else, what could you, if you were, if you were them, so what can you don't have your nephew or your sister to say this to now? What would you say to these people as they would be your nephew and your sister? Like, what could you say knowing that you had to turn your back on them for that, for that moment? And it was longer than a moment, but what can you say to them to like let them and reassure them that we're here, we still care? Like, what would you say?
Well, I mean, we would always be there regardless because we're their family. Um, the last thing we wanted to do was to ever have to cut any connection or any of that. But
Hold on, I think I lost you. Hold on one second. Okay, we're back.
am I good?
Yeah.
All right. Your loved ones are always going to be there for you. Um, even when you think they're not, they are. If my sister was still here today and I hadn't talked to her and she called me up and said, I want to get the help that I need and I'm going to go do it, I would support her in every aspect. If people don't have the family to do so, you have to want to get yourself to that point to get clean, and you're going to have a huge support system around you. If you don't have the family, you have other people that are getting clean with you. You have counselors, you have Al-Anon, you have different sources to make friends and a support team around you. You're never alone. You are never alone, no matter what. You're always going to have people around you to support you. Even if you think you're alone, you're never alone.
Right.
Believe me, you're never alone.
Right. No, absolutely. Because sometimes it's like they don't realize it's hard for them to realize that, they feel like they're putting the harm to them. So I don't understand why you're upset. But, I don't, they don't see what we deal with, the anxiety every day of, am I going to get that call? And praying, oh my God, I hope I don't get that call. And every night thanking God you did not get that call, but still, please watch over that individual, or whoever it is. It's just, that's like an everyday thing for someone that is on the other side from the disease. And that is something that, I hope they see that and know that it's not that they're just shutting you out. It's that they have to let you find your bottom so they can be there to help you when you're ready to pick up. Like when you're ready to pick yourself up and be like, I got to change my life. And that's where they all will come back out and be like, let's do this. Like you are opening your door. Let's do this. We'll help you. As long as you walk through that door, we're here for you.
Even with my dad couldn't turn to us to get clean, to get off the alcohol. He turned to Al-Anon.
Right.
My dad couldn't, my dad, I don't know why, but I feel like my dad felt he needed to be our strength. So for him to be weak to us was not, to him,
Acceptable.
it was showing a vulnerable side of himself. So Al-Anon is what helped my father and kept my dad clean, and going to those meetings and making the friends that he made there,
Yep.
that was his therapy. And that was his friendships that he gained. And he ended up being like a leader at the tables and everything for the talks. And he loved going there. That was his way to deal with it. Not talking to us as family, talking to his friends that he made through getting clean.
Right.
Because
Because it was more people that understood where he was at, mind, mental,
absolutely,
all of it. So yeah, absolutely.
I think people that are getting clean with you and people that understand where you're coming from are your biggest help getting through it.
Absolutely.
Honestly, I watched my dad do it. My dad was never an alcoholic my whole life until my nephew and my sister died back to back. Then my dad turned to alcohol because that's the way that he grieved. And it got out of control really bad. And he hit rock bottom, and he had to get the help that he needed to get. And that's where he got it. And that's where he was able to let his feelings out. And I couldn't thank all those people enough for what they did for my father too.
Right. Yeah, I know. He
other
stuck
people
with
that
it
have
until
battled
the day
addictions
he
that understand
passed.
that.
Yeah. Your dad was very proud of it. He was proud of
So
himself, and he was proud of where
yes,
he
he
went.
was.
That was yeah, that I do know.
His points for staying clean, and
Yep.
my dad was really proud of it. He really
Absolutely.
was. Because when you get clean like that off of any drug, alcohol, anything that you're abusing, the way you feel about your stuff is this whole new confidence that you have in yourself.
Absolutely.
It's an amazing thing to watch as a family member too, watching somebody you love or your family get clean. And
Right.
it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
It is.
Mhm.
Well, Tara, I just, I know that you're traveling on one of your biggest obsessions, so it's snowmobiling.
Yeah,
And I want to say thank you for taking your time out,
absolutely.
sharing some of your story, and to allow people to see that there's other side, like not only is your addiction hurting yourself, but there are us, your family that is hurting along with you. You're not alone in your own addiction. The people that are with you, the closest to you, are the ones hurting with you. And like I said, I really appreciate you going through that door and allowing everybody else to walk in that door with you. I know you don't like talking about it,
Yeah, I
but
know.
I know. And I do appreciate you taking the time out and allowing us to see that door and opening it up.
Thanks, Brandi.
But I will let you get going on your adventure for the week. And
All right.
you have a safe travel, and I
All
will
right.
talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.